My name is Patrick, but you can call me 26. And what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about how you can build a reusable form field component, right? Now, in the app that I have on the channel, we use it in several places, right? So, for example, if you try and create a new product, right? So, if you're trying to create a new product, I believe that's that. You use this. This is the form field that you actually use, right? So, you use this to enter the price, the title, and a number of things, right? And also, primarily, you use it as on your login and the forgot password and also the create account, right? Now, our reusable form field is unique because we basically use the same form field when we're entering the email, right? And it tells us red. It gives us a red when the input is not yet acceptable. And we can also use it for secure text fields where it gives us dots so that you don't see it, right? Now, when the input is acceptable, like our password requires a certain length, it turns color to green, right? So if we do this, it gets green at some point, right? When we hit the particular, we get to the valid state, right? And when it is neutral, when everything has been deleted, you see that the outline is gray, right? So that's what you're going to build. And if you want a look at the app, the app, you can find it on the channel, and you can also look at the link below to get access to the source code, right? And the very first thing we need to do is we need to create the state that our form field is going to be in, right? So the first state is going to be valid, that's going to be green. Then it's going to be invalid, and invalid is going to be red to tell the user that there's something wrong. And then the final one is going to be empty, right? Empty is where it is at the neutral state. Maybe you have just landed on the page and you have not typed anything, right? So those are the three things we could have, and those can be created using an enum, right? So this is going to be enum. I'm going to just create it here. It's going to be called valid state, like so. We're going to come here and we say this is going to be case. We have valid, like so. Case invalid, that's perfect, right? And then case empty or neutral, right? Or whatever you want to call it, right? So we have three states: valid, invalid, and neutral. Empty or neutral, right? However you want to call it, right? Now, the next thing we need to do is we're going to be passing in a binding, right? So we're going to say here binding, like so. And then we're going to have the value in question. Here it's going to be var value, like so. And this is going to be of type string. And then we're going to have the icon. We come here and we say var icon. And the icon is going to also be of type string, like so. Then we're going to have var placeholder. And the placeholder is going to be a string, which is going to be whatever is going to appear on the text field. Then we're going to reuse the form field, whether we want to enter a password or just regular text or even numbers, right? So if you want to put numbers on it, you would have to tell it the type of text field, like the type of keyboard that can be accessed on this text field, right? So that you can only use it with text or with numbers, right? So this is going to be that. Then we're going to say var after placeholder, we're going to say is secure. Like so, is secure is going to be a boolean, right? And we're going to set it to false, right? So we're going to default it to, we're going to assume that most of the time you're not going to be creating password fields, right? So it's going to be, that is going to be the particular default, right? That's why we put that default. If you're going to be creating password fields as the most, right? Most of them, you're going to just put this as true, right? Then we're going to have var valid state, right? Valid state, and this is going to be valid state. And we don't want to tell it what valid state it is, right? That can be done as we go along, right? Then we come here in body, and then under body, we're going to create, let's see the shadow color. So we say, let shadow color, like so. And shadow color is going to be a type of color, like so. And this one is going to be, it's going to switch on the valid state, right? So it's going to be dependent on the valid state. So we come here and we say switch, and this is going to be valid state. And we're going to have three options. We're going to have valid, invalid, and empty, of course, right? So here we're going to have, for the valid state, what we want to do is we're going to return dot green, right? So if everything is okay, you just return green, right? Else we return red, right? So if everything is not okay, return red. Else we return, and this is going to be gray. And then we're going to add the opacity in question. We're going to add the opacity in question. And the opacity here is going to be let's say 0.4, right? So we're going to have that. And then afterwards, we could come here and we say, do this, right? So we have this, right? So we are going to say this is going to be, and this should be dot gray, right? So dot gray, like so. And then it's going to be that, right? So that is going to be our color in particular, right? Now, next, we could come here in the VStack and we could change this from the VStack, right? we could get rid of this v stack and we could have an h stack, right? So we have an h stack, and in the h stack, what you're going to have is going to be in question is going to be the image, like so, and this is going to be the system name, this is going to be the icon, the foreground color. Okay, that was a lot of code it just suggested, right? So the foreground color, and a lot of it is going to be wrong, so let's just get rid of it, right? And that's going to be the foreground style, right? Foreground style, I believe. This is going to be shadow color, like so. And then we're going to say padding here, padding, and padding here, we could say padding is going to be 4, right? So that's going to be that. And then afterwards, we're going to have a group. And based on the group is going to decide whether or not it's secure or not, right? So we say if is secure, what do we want? We want a secure field, right? So we come here and we say, if it's secure, just send a secure field. And for the placeholder, we're going to have the text and the value is going to be the value, right? Else, if it's not a secure field, else, what you need to do here is have the text field, right? Text field like so, text field like so, and here we're going to have the placeholder in question, placeholder in question, and here we're going to have the text, and the text in question is going to be $value, like so, right? That's going to be that. And that's going to be our group. Our group is going to be done. And then afterwards, we're going to come here and we say, this is going to be, what's it next going to be? It's going to be font, like so. The font is going to be here. And then you're going to say font dot system. And the size is going to be 16, like so. The design is going to be dot monospaced, right? Come here and say dot monospaced, right? And then afterwards, we're going to say, come here and we say, we want the dot text field style, text field style, and what's this going to be? It's going to be dot rounded border, like so. Then we're going to come here and we say multi-text line alignment. This is going to be, we want it to be leading, right? Then we want the autocorrection disabled by default. Keep it if you want it autocorrection disabled, like so. And you could also pass it through here, autocorrection disabled. And then we say text input capitalization. And we don't want this to ever be the case, right? Because we're going to be entering data ourselves, right? So that's going to be that, right? And then afterwards, after this, we're going to come here, and this is going to be still within our H stack. We're going to put the overlay, right? Come here and we say this is going to be overlay, like so, overlay. And for the overlay in question, we're just going to come here and we say we want the rounded rectangle, like so. Then we're going to put a corner radius, and the corner radius is going to be 8, like so. And then you're going to say the stroke in question is going to have the shadow color, like so. Maybe make it, the line width is going to be a bit chunky, so we say 2. And then we give it a shadow. We come here and we say we want it to be dot shadow, and this is going to be radius is going to be 1, x displacement is going to be 0, y displacement is going to be 2, right? So that's going to be our code. Of course, it's going to complain because we don't have any of these, right? So you should just come to our preview. We get rid of this, and then we just put a VStack, and then we can see a bunch of them, right? So we have the VStack, and we come here and maybe give it the various form fields, right? So you could come here and we say form field so that we can actually see it. Form field, or we call it content view, right? Let's just call this form field. Or form field, right? Let's just call it form field, and maybe to make sure it doesn't complain, let's just come in and say this is going to be form field, form field, like so, right? Then we come back here to the content view, right? And what we want is going to be the form field, and in this form field we're going to have a value. Let's say the value here, the value in question is just going to be, we could say here it's going to be dot constant. And what's the value going to be? We're going to say something like hello at, come here and say world.com, right? And this is going to be icon, like so, icon, and this is going to be, let's say envelope. Envelope is what you're going to use for the email, right? And the placeholder in question is going to be the email, like so. And the valid state is going to be dot invalid, right? Valid state is going to be it's not helping me, so you go like invalid, right? So we have that, and now let's see what's the issue. Let's see, since we only want it here, let's just come back to our this, right? So, and let's give it a second and see it, right? So we see what it looks like when we actually put this, right? And maybe while we're at it, we could give the vstag some padding, like so. Okay, it occupies too much space, padding, and we say we want it to be horizontal, right? So let's say horizontal like so. So this is what it looks like, right? When it's in an invalid state. This is the invalid state, right? So what we could do is we could come here, do this, hit Command D, and then we see what it would look like in the, just give it this, come here, do that. And now we change from invalid to valid. So when it's valid, it's going to be red. When it's valid, it's going to be green. And we also see the other, hit Command D, come here, and now we wanted to see it in the neutral, right? So for the neutral, we just say empty, right? So when you come here and you say empty, like so, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be completely grayed out, right? But that is for the case where you have, you're dealing with a form field, a text field, which is not a secure field, right? Now, when you want to create a secure field, you would come here and you say something like form field, like so, and then include is secure, right? Now for the value here is going to be, we say dot constant, and the value in question is going to be something like password, like so. And then the icon in question is going to be a string. So we say this is going to be lock. The placeholder in question is going to be, let's see, the placeholder in question is going to be something like password, like so. Is secure is going to be something like is secure is going to be, let's say, true, and the valid state is going to be dot, let's see, empty, right? So this is what it looks like. It would look like, right? So it would look like this if the valid state is empty, right? And if you get rid of this, if you get rid of the text, you're going to see the password, which is the text field, right? Now, if this is going to be in the valid state, what this would look like is, let's just hit Command D here, come here, do this, do that, and this is going to be valid, like so. So you see this green, right? And then hit Command D, come here, this is going to be invalid, right? So we have invalid there. So this is what it's going to look like, right? So this is going to be, in essence, our text field, which we use in our app all through, right? So this is going to be our reusable text field, and it's pretty robust, right? And if you want, for example, you could ensure that a user can only use a particular keyboard, so that you can change what can be entered, like the content that can be entered, right? So let's see how we can do that. It's pretty straightforward. What we do is we need to come here and say at the entry point, and we just need to say this is going to be form field. We probably need a state variable, so let's just come here and say something like at state var value is going to be that. Then we come to the form field, and what you're going to have here is going to be the value in question, and the value is going to be the value. Then we're going to say we need an icon. We need an icon, and the icon is going to be something like, let's say, person.crop.circle. Okay, that's that. Then we need a placeholder. The placeholder is going to be, let's say something like price, right? Price. And the valid state is going to be, for now, is going to be dot valid, right? What you're going to do is you're going to have a variable, like when you're using it, you're going to have a view model, which is going to have the various variable states, and then you're going to decide on, depending on what the user's typed, you're going to use that to determine the actual valid state. But here, just to illustrate, we're going to do this, right? And then here, where we're going to have this is what you're going to do is we're going to put the keyboard, right? Because we are interested in seeing how we can use the keyboard with this, right? So the keyboard type, now we can decide we want the decimal part. We only want numbers here, right? And maybe give it some padding. And we want the padding to be horizontal, right? So we do this, and if we run this now, we should get a result on our phone. Let's just run this on our phone and see it, right? So we come here and we find this, right? And just hit Command K to make sure that you have the keyboard, right? So come here, select this, and you will have a keyboard, right? So this is how you would use the reusable form field to make sure that the user can only enter numbers, right? So now when we type, of course, if you type with a keyboard, since you're on the simulator, you can enter a number. You can enter letters, right? But now the user who is using it on the phone can only enter digits, like so, right? So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.